discussions on games, music, cultures, and other random shit, all while humiliating each other. This is Generation Flip. Don't forget, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. And now, wrapping it up, here's your hosts.
What's going on, guys? Appreciate it for tuning in to Generation Flip. I'm your host, Flip. Aside of me, we got Big Brown from San Jose. And my brother from the East Coast, New York. Say what's up.
Guys.
So we got a great show today. It's a pretty much open mic. Anybody wants to drop anything in the chat box or comment that they want to discuss, feel free to do so. And we got a special guest, probably a couple more minutes. He'll be joining us. And we'll take it from there. Touch more bases on the police tactics. Previous conversations that we had, open topic, you know what I mean? So keep it respectful, keep it, legit. And so I'm going to start off by saying to Brown, that was a good show last week, or actually the beginning of this week. It was pre-recorded, but we had a good time. Any thoughts on that?
No, it was really informative. It was really good information. It was great to hear and speak with Rodney Allen Rippey. Just the new exciting things that he's ventures that he's doing and that he's did and what he's looking forward in the future for the Studio 2526 out of Burbank. I'm really excited to see what he does next with all the great things that he has. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to go on with speaking with Manny. Gave us some good insight on some of the excessive force conversations we had and gun ownership responsibility. So I'm looking forward to getting a little bit more into that, and then also looking forward to getting some people to chime in and see what questions they may have for us also.
Right. I spoke to a few buddies of mine, just throwing it out there, if you guys ever wanted to come on. We got this, there was a debate inside my workplace today, and I was like, hey, just call me up. I'll deal with that. Call me up.
Bring it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we want
bring
some
it.
shit like that. But I got one guy on chat right now, Pablo Luna. Hey, Pablo, how's it going, man? So, Steve, what you been up to?
Not much, man. Not much. Catching your cast. I'm loving your show.
And I heard you got you started up your podcast as well, paintball. Right?
Generation MagFed.
Generation MagFed. That's right.
Nice.
That's right.
That hit it off pretty well too. I checked that out for a little bit, and that was pretty dope.
Yeah, it's getting a lot of positive feedback. A lot of guys are hitting me up, showing love, and it promotes the paintball in general. The guys, gives them recognition. Field owners, so it's a win-win. It's all the way around. It's good for me because I enjoy doing it, and the guys just get a kick out of it. It's really awesome.
That's
good,
right.
man.
We're getting some chat in here. I'm just sorry for the delay, but I'm getting a couple of chats in here. Pablo says to regards to all. He says hello. So Pablo's on the chat right now. So
Pablo, what's cracking, man?
Thanks for tuning in, Paul. Make sure you subscribe, man. And if you did already, thanks. I appreciate that. So guys, Steve, talking about paintball stuff, we had an episode. I don't know what episode. It was probably episode 3. We talked about your paintball stuff. The guns, the MagFed guns are pretty much solid. They look freaking realistic, like real assault rifles, And we talked about owning a gun and the responsibilities of a gun. And I pretty much want to touch a little bases on that. We talked to Manny. I talked to him briefly over the phone and over another conversation we had. He's like Brown said, he's a former ex-cop and an ex-Marine. And he was giving me some perspectives of what they have to go through owning a gun and having the responsibility of owning a gun, and a lot of interesting topics, a lot of interesting subjects to go on. But Steve, you ever get pulled over by a cop and you had your gun in the back or something? Anything like that, bro?
That's happened. It's happened. Happened quite a. How do I?
I mean,
It's
you
happened
can
more to me. It's happened more to me in New York than it's happened anywhere else in the United States. Because I've been all over this. I've traveled a lot.
hold that thought.
Uh,
Hold that thought. I'm going to tell you guys at home in Brown on this note. Brown, a couple of years back, I went to go visit my brother in New York. And for me, this only happens in New York. It never happened anywhere else. I got off the freaking plane. My brother picks me up from the plane, takes me to the house. And I get to the house. These cops, NYPD officers patrolling, just out of nowhere hits us up. All right. I just got off the plane. I got my baggages with me and everything. All right. These guys are tough. They come up to us. They start asking us, hey, all these questions. Hey, Steve, you remember that moment? That was tough. He hits me up and I'm telling him, hey, man, I just got off the plane. Here's my ticket. Here's I obviously got my briefcases with me. These guys were actually harassing my brother and I. I don't know for what reason. We didn't do anything wrong. We just literally got off the car.
oh,
You remember that incident?
Yeah, I remember. Let me first tell you, I support the police.
I do too, as well.
I support the police. I support law and order. I'm for it. Truth be told, if we didn't have law and order, we would have total anarchy and chaos. You know what I'm saying? Brown would be sitting right now, at the terminal with his AR right next to him. I'd be sitting right now with my 9. You'd be sitting. You know what I'm saying? So I support law and order. What I don't support are the individuals who think that they're above the law. And that goes to people who, my philosophy behind that, let me rephrase that before I continue that train of thought, is when you give a person who has basically no power and you give them a sense of power, such as being a police officer, where now I have control over you, that person kind of tends to, what's the saying? Power corrupts absolute. So I have a lot of friends who are cops. I have second cousins. We actually have second cousins who are retired cops. I have correction officers in my family. Our cousin Brandon is going to be a cop or on the borderline of it. So I support police. Like I said, what I don't support are individuals like, Justin Volt, in New York, cases where excessive force, obviously he lost his job in the police department and, he stopped a black man in the Bronx and they emptied out, I think it was 32 rounds. That's 2 clips or 3 clips of a 9mm that they're running. All because he had something that looked like a gun. I'm sorry, I confused the case. Justin Volpe is the individual who shoved a plunger up somebody's anus. Abno Larima. Yeah. New York City police officer. Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
New York City police officer, anti-crime task force, stopped this individual for a suspicion of I don't know what. He was walking into the vestibule of his house in the Bronx. They detained him, took him to the precinct, and sodomized him.
This is some scandalous shit. That's some scandalous shit, man.
Hey, listen, the after that there was some reform. The anti-crime task force is what they call it. Anti-crime, it's what they called it. And it was disbanded not too long after that. But the tactics of the New York City Police Department, now I understand the job they got. I mean, you live in Los Angeles. I live in New York. You guys are West Coast, we're East Coast. And populations in California are 10 times greater than that of New York, statistically, and proven. But the New York City Police Department, they have their individuals that are, who get this badge and they think they're above the law. There are YouTube videos of cops abusing their power, New York City cops. There are, now that media is available and streaming everywhere, everybody has body cameras and everybody has a camera phone and cameras all over the place. You can't go nowhere nowadays without getting your image captured somewhere, someplace. So for a cop to do something, it takes balls. I mean, look at what happened over in Minneapolis. You know, George Floyd, the cop who had George Floyd onto the ground, you know, for suspicion of passing a counterfeit $20 bill. The man died. Excessive force. So, I mean, it's the few, you know, that old saying, Peter pays for Paul and Paul pays for all. Well, that is what's going on. The mentality, well, other cops see, oh, he got away with it. So they're going to take it onto themselves and do it the same thing because, well, if that cop got away with it, well, I can get away with it. It's the mentality, well, you know, follow the leader. And not all the police, you know, not all the police departments are like that. But, you know, unfortunately, the ones we hear about are the ones that are sensationalized on the media. Excessive force. Look at the protesters, for example. You just past summer or the summer prior, we had the protest.
Right.
You guys, you know, what was it? Seattle? I mean, cops were shooting people with rubber bullets. They were beating people, riot gear. Okay, I understand riot, I understand crowd control, but it was a bit excessive. They showed video of cops pushing, for example, during Washington, D.C., when the former president decided to walk from the White House to the church. You saw that the media had their pass. Even during the protest, other protests, media had their pass, and they're shoving them. It's the few that messed it up for the majority. You know, and I'm not saying that not all cops are bad. No, they're not. But unfortunately, when one does wrong wearing the uniform, we're not seeing the one.
Right.
We're seeing them all.
But you also get guys who are on their cell phones, civilians on their cell phones, recording. They're taking out their phones and they're recording, you know, randomly. But here's what I get. I get really frustrated when I see people. They do that on the fucking bus. Anywhere you go, you see that. They take out their freaking cell phones and they're recording it, right? But they're recording the aftermath. They're not recording what led to that. And so sometimes before that aftermath justifies the aftermath. You get me what I'm saying? I mean,
I do. But
whatever
the one
happened
thing you
in the
have
beginning is the beginning, and they leave
one,
that out.
The one thing I've learned, and I am a First Amendment auditor. And I'm sure you've seen that on YouTube, the First Amendment audits. The First Amendment protects individuals from police brutality, unlawful detainment, unlawful search and seizure. And if you watch any of those videos, a lot of the police departments, the officers, not the police departments, the officers take it into their own hands. Instead of following the law, their interpretation of the law is what kicks in. And then that is where we have conflict. Because if I come to you and tell you, you can't record me, or you can't record this facility, but the Constitution says that I can record any vestibule from a public street or venue. If I'm standing on the street, across the street, I can point my camera at you. Again, excessive force. When you watch some of these videos, if you catch them, and they're all over YouTube, if you catch one or two of them, you'll see it's very borderline, because you can tell at any moment, say the wrong thing, move the wrong way, because it's so intense that, and the people who are interacting with the police officer are telling them, did you tell me, you know, do you suspect me of committing a crime? Can you articulate a crime? Why do you want to see my ID? So those are venues that the police department, that these officers use to go into what they want, and what ultimately winds up leaving you with like cases like George Floyd, you know, where you have, you know, cops being tried for murder or manslaughter, you know, innocent people getting shot in the back, innocent people hurt.
I got Pablo saying that has something to do with ego and ignorance is well known everywhere, and at work, at home, and everywhere. So I believe that's semi-true. I believe that too. It's
Look,
definitely ignorance. Ignorance, but for the police,
well,
is not tolerant.
it's not ignorance. It's not ignorance. What it is over time, people by nature evolve. We evolve. We're designed genetically to evolve, to become better than what we were when we came into this world.
Yeah, I agree. We should do better. We should do better. We should learn our mistakes and do better. We shouldn't have to, Steve, we shouldn't have to pay the mistakes at an officer firing his gun and killing the suspect for no reason.
Listen,
okay,
I agree.
I wouldn't say on no reason. I would say it shouldn't be, not justifiable. You know what I mean? It should be justifiable, not justifiable. We should be able to make our mistakes and still live. I saw a video. I kid you not. You can go on Netflix, and I'm quoting this. You can go on Netflix, check out All American, and you probably can catch it on Google it. Olivia is the actress in the show. She has a podcast. She has a podcast.
Mariska.
Awesome. The way she portrays that, very awesome. When she says, where we shouldn't have to pay by our lives for their mistakes. We shouldn't, and it's happening. And we're going to bring on a guest, and he's going to not justify, but explain some of the tactics and why they use it. Honestly, some can be misinformed by bad training. They just had bad skills and bad training, which led them to be a bad officer. But what about, I think Brown, you mentioned this, PSD, you know what I mean? PTSD, yeah. PTSD.
Yeah, and I don't think that only pertains to the military. I think that could also pertain to, everyday life for a police officer that's going through something that is traumatic, right? I don't know the proper acronym, but I'm gonna find it. But it's something that could happen to anybody that can have a PSD, right? Some kind of traumatic disorder, stress, or whatever it is. Stress disorder. I mean, a good example in Detroit. If you go, you can pull it up on YouTube. And there's a protester, and a guy's trying to talk to the police, and they shove him to the ground. And then he gets back up, and then another guy comes up and punches him right in the face. Another officer. I mean, that's excessive force. I don't.
I'm gonna tell you a story. I'm gonna tell you a true, bona fide story. I have a couple of them here that happen here in New York. This particular time, I was with my aunt and my father's girlfriend. I say it that way because he's married to her, but I'm too old to say stepmother. So my father's wife, but at the time it was his girlfriend. We were in a fabric store in the city, Midtown Manhattan. The clothes that I was wearing was what the kids were wearing at the time: a hoodie, Levi jeans, black sneakers, black Reeboks. Very, very basic stuff you would buy at the regular store. Unfortunately, a lot of people wear the same stuff, the same blend, the same brand, color, so forth. Well, my back was turned to the street. I was inside the store talking to my aunt. Next thing I know, I have a cop. Now, this cop, before I go any further, must have been at least 6'2", no lie, bald head, brolic, probably the most brolic individual I have ever seen. My back is turned. All of a sudden, I'm talking to my aunt, and next thing I know, I'm being flung from the middle of the store, what felt to me as if I hit the door. All because I fit the description of a suspect who had just committed an armed robbery.
Well, mind you, that right there, it might be a little excessive, but
the excessive part comes in about 2 seconds after.
Well, throwing you across is a little excessive. They should have just questioned you.
He threw me on after we got out.
They detained you and questioned you, but they don't. But then again, they don't know whether if you're armed or if you're not armed. So they're actually going based, like a buddy of mine said, milliseconds. They're going based on instinct, based on adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
They don't know if you're armed, Steve. They don't know if you have a knife, if you have a bomb.
No.
So they're trying to do whatever they can to detain you and protect you. Guys, I have just, just arrived my buddy, my guest host, Manny. Manny, thanks for joining the show. I know you had things to do and stuff, and I appreciate you jumping in. We're basically just touching up here about excessive force, guns and stuff.
Yep.
We chatted that in a previous conversation. I have also, some people in live chat that would like to ask some questions to you, or
Sure.
about what we're discussing. But back at you, Steve, I just feel that maybe that's what that was. Maybe they just didn't know you were armed.
That was one instance, but the excessive force comes in when I have a gun pulled and it's actually to my head while I'm on the ground with his knee on my back.
Well, Rodney was talking about this last.
And everybody who had witnessed what had happened was yelling at the cops. Yo, get the sergeant, get your captain, get the commander here. What are you doing? This man was and it was all verified. The video, we actually had to go and we have something called the CCRB, Civilian Complaint Review Board, that they actually contacted me, to investigate this further, and it was video and everything. And the excessive force part came out when I was already searched and handcuffed. Yet I'm on the ground. My face is on the ground on the New York City street, which is probably the most disgusting sidewalks in the world, and a gun pointed right here.
You see,
there's no need for it.
Rodney was discussing this in the last episode that we had with Rodney, last podcast. He mentioned that I don't know if that had to do with the movie that he was promoting or not, or movie that he's going to, but he did mention that the lady in the car had she had a gun lighter, and she was just doing this number. I'm assuming she was just doing this number, and she was going to light a cigarette and whatnot. But the officer didn't know that was a fake gun. Pointed the gun at her. Director ordered her to do whatever, and she wound up paying the price. Am I right, Brown? Is that what he said? Remember that discussion?
Yeah.
And
yep.
So I can't say what that officer was thinking. I don't know, but Manny, you being a formal officer, you've been, well first, let's talk about Manny here. Let's everybody welcome Manny here. Manny.
Hey, how are you?
So Manny, you're a former officer. Tell us more.
So there's a lot of things that come into play. One of my major things that I say a lot to when people ask me some these type of questions is, what do you think? Well, it's easy for us again to sit back and quarterback. Leading up to certain events, like for instance, our buddy down at the bottom, he he had that experience. That's a effed up experience. And there's factors like, is the person that we're looking at armed? Okay, do you have enough guys, or can you wait? Or if you wait, is he going to hurt somebody else? Because armed robbery, right? So the suspect, initiated some kind of a violent act to take something from somebody with a gun, right? So is that person, if I don't apprehend him, is he going to hurt somebody else, take somebody hostage? Not to say that what happened was right. I'm just saying this is what I'm going through when I approach situations like that. So, there's some things that do get out of hand. Cops are humans, and they do mess up, and they're gonna mess up. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, okay, well, you shouldn't have been wearing this. You shouldn't have been wearing. Well, it's hard to say. What happens is sometimes leading up to it, meaning the call prior, you see an accident where a kid he dies, or you go to another place where another incident where similar thing happened, and the guy ended up shooting an old man to rob him. So there's things leading up to it, and because we're human, we create this sort of narrative, and you go up to it. No, I'm not going to let this happen, right? So I'm going to do what I have to do, and sometimes they get out of hand. So we have to look at it from a different view is like what leads up to it. What was the officer's state of mind and frame at that point? You know, yeah, he grabbed you. He couldn't see who it was. Maybe he could have waited. Maybe he couldn't have, but he didn't know what you were gonna do if you were armed. So was he gonna take that chance? Because we deal with you're effed if you do, and you're effed if you don't. We can both sides, you know.
I agree with what you're saying. There is no question about it. I agree with what you're saying. As I said previously, we have my brother and I. We have family who are former police officers, family who are correctional officers, family who are retired from the police department, civil servants. And I understand. At the end of the day, it's a job. You want to come home. That's first and paramount. Your safety is first and paramount. I understand that. And like I said earlier, not everybody, when one cop does something wrong, they're not looking at that individual, the public. They're not looking at that individual. They're looking at everybody in the uniform.
Right.
And then systematically it happens across the board where you have, in New York, let's say, for example, one bad cop, and you have another bad cop in Florida, and you have another cop in California and Ohio. These little cases that pop up.
Right.
So it's the little things over time that add up. And then you get these negative images of law enforcement. It's us against them, and I never grew up to believe that it's always going to be, a civil war between us and law enforcement. I never believed that in my heart. I heard a lot, the revolution or this, that, and it. I don't believe in that. What I do know is what I've experienced myself, what I've seen, what I've witnessed. I don't believe 90% of what you see on the news because there are two sides to a story. So when you have body cams, body cams could be manipulated. Video cams, like my brother previously mentioned, are recording after the fact. And I understand that, officers go to various, you probably do at least maybe 40 jobs a day, 30 jobs a day on a, just, I understand. So every interaction is different. One interaction might be worse. I understand that we're human, but there has to be some level of accountability or some sort of retraining, because what's going on is too many people are paying the price ultimately for misconceptions or misjudgments. Way too many people, white, Hispanic, Black, Asian, across the board. And the funny thing is, and this is really interesting because my brother and I were talking about this earlier this week, in London, police, the normal police, the constables and the police are not armed. They have special armed police that they call themselves armed police, and they have to go for specialized training and continuously get certified every so often with psychological reports, so forth and so forth. So they're monitoring them carefully. But for the most part, there are weapons out there, obviously. I mean, there are weapons worldwide. But you don't have nearly as many shootings of civilians in London by law enforcement from the armed police that are there already. How is it that they can do that, maintain a society and a civilization and law and order, and have a very low, I can pull the numbers, very low murder rate, mortality rate involving law enforcement, whereas we, in the United States, we have a high mortality rate when it becomes with interactions with law enforcement? There's a problem. And the fact is that we become too complacent, accepting, it's the norm. It happened to us already. Oh, it happened again. Oh, it happened again. And after a while, we become complacent. And what's going on, I think, in my opinion, is that people are starting to realize, wait a minute, something's wrong here. Something's wrong here.
Well, we know that there's something wrong. Obviously, there's something wrong. And I talked to Manny before, and you were talking about the tactics, some lack of skills, some lack of training on the force can make or break somebody in the police force. I mean, you either get taught bad and you teach that bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it boils down to, like how Manny says, it's human error. We're not machines. And you know, so Manny, you know,
excuse me 1 second, guys. I have to run because I have a prior engagement.
yeah.
But I will definitely come back on and jump on if you guys are still talking topic.
No problem. No problem. Do your thing.
All right.
I'll catch up.
I do apologize. I do apologize. I have a podcast also that I have to go to.
Man. You do your thing, man. Well, thanks for jumping in. I'll catch up with you later.
Hey,
all right,
hey,
guys. Yes, sir.
There ain't no podcast more important than this one.
That's right.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely
that,
right. But my podcast is second to my brother's, so I have to.
Thanks for joining me.
Hey, you know what? I can tell you one thing, Stevie. Before you go Niners.
I used to like you. I used to like you up until that comment there. Next time I come on, I'll put my Yankee hat, my New York Giant jersey. I'll put on my New York Knicks boxers with my New York Rangers sweatpants and my New York Islanders sneakers, and I'll be all New York down. I'll be like, go New York.
You got it, baby.
Bullshit. All right.
I'll catch you guys a little while.
All right, brother. Have a great day. Thanks for being on the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So Manny, you know, I know you talked about, you know, it's basically training. It boils down to training. Maybe perhaps they need to do some kind of adjustments in the police academy to show them better training tactics. You know.
Yeah.
But I personally think, Manny, that's a start. But I think it's not going to be quite enough. I think that it boils down to that actual individual, that actual officer.
Right.
You know?
So I can just, you know, people slip through the system, right? And we're talking about the psychological evaluation and all that through to law enforcement. There's some guys that shouldn't be, and they pass through for whatever reason. Politics, you know, my dad's a captain, or my uncle's a lieutenant, or my undersheriff. They squeak by just like the regular public has friends, and hey, I got my uncle works over here, he can get you in. It's the same human culture, you know. Right. It's, do you have connections? And it's like that in politics, you know. I don't think it's ever gonna go away. It sucks, but it happens everywhere, from the presidents all the way down to the, you know, everything, man. You know, it happens. It's not. I don't think it's gonna stop. But I think to help, there needs to be. I mean, as it is, LAPD is the longest academy. So I think there's 7 months, if I can remember. I think it was 7 months, because they have an extra month of tactics at the their North Academy up there. I forgot what it's called. It's been a while since I've been there. I'm talking about, you know, 17 years ago. It's up off of the 405 and the 5 up there, in San Fernando Valley. They have an extra month of tactics training. And you know, that helps a lot. You know, an extra month, you know, Monday through Friday, just, you know, hammering, shooting, going through scenarios, doing the they have a little village. They use paintballs, and, you know, they go through the village, they do mock traffic stops, they do mock felony stops, they do mock building searches and all that. And that does help. But, you know, at the end of the day, we need more and more and more training. That's it. You know, and
this guy here, Mr. Brown, he pulled out something that happened in Detroit. A police officer, I just pulled it up over here. A police officer punched a protester right in the mouth. It's dead. It's on. Obviously, it's going to be on YouTube. It probably is.
But, yeah, it's on YouTube.
You know, he just walked up to the. Oh wow! I'm just watching the footage right now.
Yeah, they shoved him first. He's a protester. He falls down and he gets up. The police are still coming towards him. And then the other officer just walks up. You can see him cock his arm, and he just stone cold blasts him right in the mouth.
He punches him right in the face.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys want to take a look at that, that's on YouTube. You can check that out. It's the title, Detroit Police Reviewing Video of Cop Punching Man in the Face in Greektown in Detroit. And there's an actual footage, about 45-second footage in there, where the guy is he's standing away from the cops, and they're in the crosswalk, and one of the cops are pointing to like distract the guy. As he's distracting the guy, a black officer, this is not even it doesn't, yeah, a black officer just straight on hits him in the face. You know, guy's not armed. He's, as according to the camera that we're seeing this, he's not armed. Doesn't seem to be threatened. He's not threatening the officer in any way. He's, you know, because I do know this, that if a officer standing in his stance or her stance, and the civilian is a few feet away from him, but he or she poses as a threat to the officer within any distance, that if they feel threatened, they can do something about it. Is that how that works?
So you can take it several different ways. And we're talking about threat, what, like?
Well, I mean, like, say, well, I could say that. I could say this as my opinion. If you're the officer and I'm trying to tell you something that's going on, and you're just being a dick, and I tap you on your shoulder, like, hey, officer, and you're looking at me saying, hey, don't touch me, you're getting threatened. You know, you responded to me like that, and I'm thinking of this moment here, but you're thinking of, hey, don't touch me. You know, you're getting threatened at that point. So, you know, you might perhaps tell the guy, the civilian, please step back, or, you know, hey, don't do that, right? But there's some officers that might take it to the next level, you know, and I've seen footage like that.
So unwanted touching is like a simple assault. You can get arrested for unwanted touching, right? Now there's a statute, there's a penal code that enhances that if you're a police officer, firefighter, or I don't remember if it's a teacher or not, but it's an enhancement, so it's a little bit more serious than an ordinary civilian hitting another civilian. So if you hit a police officer while in the course of duty, which would be in that case, you know, let's say, just say that, you can arrest them. But there's also riot procedures, you know, like if they announce, hey, this assembly is now illegal, please move according to penal code or municipal code, blah 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 blah. You can get arrested for not obeying the direct dispersal order.
Right. I get that.
So, but you know what? It you know, that guy. Let's just say face value, without looking at the prior video. Let's just say it happened where it starts, right, where it looks nasty, like face value, right? Okay. I mean, punching a guy in the face when you got like 20 people behind you, okay, let's just surround them and swarm them, right? So he ended up, okay, let's just say it was that, not knowing what happened before. Let's just go from there and say, okay, the civilian got to the cop, and he just let him have it, you know? You know, it's,
well, you know, you're saying what if, but if you keep watching the video, that guy was provoking the officers before. I kept watching it.
Yeah, but provoking
the knockout.
But provoking him is
the knockout. And they kept playing it, and I kept watching, and then it took him back to where that guy was he was confrontating with the police in the corner. Right. And then if you go from the beginning, he was causing trouble with the police.
I'm going to try to share this. Let me see if I can get this on screen.
Yeah, get it on.
I'm gonna get this on.
He was disturbing a peace, which is a misdemeanor, right?
Yeah.
So let's just swarm him, get him over with. Let's not cause more drama to already spotlight to police officers, right? Let's just swarm him, smother him, arrest his, and let's go. Yeah. Okay, but there needs to be a leader amongst them that's already experienced and has a bunch of training. Be like, okay, it's not going to go right until we swarm this guy, arrest him, and then take him. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, some guy of a tenured, you know, standing has to come in and be like, hey, stop, guys. Let's just stop, arrest his ass. If he keeps coming back, hook him up and let's take him. Yeah. Because now it looks like shit. You know.
Yeah. Watching this video, it tells me a whole different story. It tells me that there was stuff going on before, and then one of his buddies is holding him back, and he's pushing him, and his buddy shoves him. and then the cop starts shoving him away, and then he falls. And then I think one of the other guys that he had a confrontation with was then he gets squared up and gets teed off by another guy. So if they show you the whole video,
yeah, but you got to ask this. You ask your question. Ask yourself this. I'm looking at the footage. Ask yourself this: at the point of him punching the civilian in the face, was it justifiable? Was it necessary for him to do that?
Well, he's coming after that black cop. I'm watching it right now. He's calling the black cop out. He's calling him out.
But if you see that, what I see here may be something different than what you see on this clip. I see the guy standing in the crosswalk. The other officers on the other side of the crosswalk. Now, what I see here is that the officer, the civilian is at his spot. He hasn't even moved. He's not moving towards him. He's standing at the crosswalk. The officers approach him.
No, so you didn't see the whole video.
That's what I'm talking about. That's my point.
Yeah.
Well, my point is, people record this stuff, and they only see the aftermath. They don't see what led to that aftermath.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
That's the media. Mm-hmm.
And so the media and all the people that take their cell phones out, they just want to make money, and get attention for this for nonsense, because they don't see what happens in the beginning of this. Yeah, he did punch him in the mouth. Was it necessary? Who knows? What we catch right there, it looked like, it wasn't justified.
It shouldn't. Innocent bystander.
Exactly. It looked like he was an innocent bystander, and he punched him in the freaking face. That's what it looks. But like you said, if you go a little deeper into the clip, you'll see what led to that. You see what I'm saying? So now it's just about judges and going to court and attorneys going at it to determine whether this was justifiable.
Right.
Right.
So there's, like you say, there's a bunch of factors. They frame it, right? So the photographers frame it. But do we need that more attention to us? Do we?
Yeah.
If it's okay, let's say it's justifiable, right? I'll punch him. He's inciting a riot, or he's inciting a fight, right? So, okay, let's do it, right? But does it look right? No, it doesn't. It looks like it looks like shit, and especially when you got 40 other people behind you, other cops. You're like, dude, did we need to do that? No. Could we have done it a different way? Yeah. Could we have just been like, let's just ignore this guy. If he comes forward again, let's arrest him, and then that's it. But you can't hear the verbal. So if you're saying, let's fight, I'll take you on. That's inciting a fight. It's,
right. I take that as a threat.
Right. It's inciting a fight, right? So it's a misdemeanor, right? So especially with the police officer, shouldn't have done that. No. But as of today's
Wait. Rewind. You just said it is a misdemeanor if it was a threatened way like that. If I say I'm going to kick your ass, that's a misdemeanor from a cop.
Yeah. It's inciting a fight. Yeah. Look it up.
But what happened to the constitutional right of freedom of speech?
See, but that's different. You're inciting a fight.
If I turn around and tell you I'm going to kick your ass or flip you off, that's freedom of speech.
There's a fire in a group concert. You can't say that. It's a misdemeanor. You're going to cause chaos.
I get that. Just like saying a bomb on a plane, right? You don't say that.
You can incite a fight, yeah. And then I think he was doing that before we just saw the middle to the end clip, but towards the end of the video it shows the beginning, and I'm sure if he's saying it, you can get yourself into trouble. But we can't hear it.
Right.
We can't hear exactly the audio, so I can't tell you for sure or not, but you can't.
Hey, Maurice, thanks for jumping in the chat. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for tuning in. Maurice says that people need to understand when a PO, what a PO feels threatened. I don't know. I think that he meant
peace officer.
Peace officer. What?
Right.
Okay, right. Understand when a police officer feels threatened. Okay, yeah, they do need to understand when a police officer feels threatened. They got to understand. And this is not helping. This looks awful, man.
It does. I mean, let's say if it was if it was justified, but still it doesn't look, it looks nasty, you know, it doesn't look good. It doesn't help it doesn't help the police officer's credibility, right? So you're like, dude, you know, he just punched this guy. Okay, well, people are gonna go right off of the face value, right? Oh my God, look at that. Okay, and they don't even think twice. Well, what happened before? They don't. Usually, all people say, "Oh my God, did you see him push him?" Well, what happened before, right? Nobody says that, right? Yeah, for the most part, nobody says that. But you know, like I said, we can't hear the audio, we can't hear what he says, you know. But it just doesn't look right. You know, you got 40 cops behind you. There was only him, and then his friend was, you know, was trying to help out the situation. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know where he went, but one time, let me tell you this: when I was working down south in LA, we went to I think it was Rampart Division. We had to help out, and I tried something new, right? You know, and it was the same thing. This guy was heckling and pushing or pointing and doing this stuff. It was a crime scene. It was a drive-by shooting. So, anyways, and I told the family, I said, hey, come get your family member because I can't tell you what's going to happen next. You know, he's going to get arrested and who knows what if he's being aggressive and not compliant. And I says, you come over here, grab him right now. And sure enough, they listened to me and they pulled him away and nothing happened, you know. But you know, that was a good thing, right? But who knows? He may have not. His friend was trying to help him and it didn't work. So, but you know, it's like I said, it's experience, training, and there has to be somebody there that's already been through something like that and be like, hey, hold your line. If he comes through, grab him, arrest him for disturbing the peace, and that's it. Done and over with. You don't have to go through this stupid IA. You don't have to worry about whether you're losing your job or not. You don't got to worry about your face being on the Fox News and, you know, getting death threats and all kinds of other stuff, you know. So all that stuff gets weighed in, man. And that's experience, a shit ton of experience, and a lot of training, you know. And seeing other people fail, like, you know, it's just it's hard to see sometimes. I'm like, man, just if some older cop would have said, hey, stop, let him get closer and arrest him for disturbing the peace and done, over with. You know, a different approach, a different
I'm
approach.
also watching the little more into it, and it says in the ad in the report that they obviously the people there, they got out of control and they were jumping on the backs of police officers.
Right.
You know, so we don't know if this guy was the part of that or not, first of all. But it's crazy. I got a comment here in here. It says from Pablo Luna. It says a policeman pulled his gun at me as I was driving the bus in service with passengers and I was in full uniform. He stopped me to give me a ticket and so forth. So, you know, thanks for that, Pablo. So I guess, you know, he got pulled over in service while he was on the job, guns drawn out, you know. So we don't know all the specific details. We're going to have Luna on the show upcoming. We'll talk about a little bit of that, Luna, when you get on here. But yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting thing, man. I mean, I think I've only been once where a cop pulled his gun out on me, and it was a scary feeling, and I was younger. But it's a scary feeling when they do that, because you don't know what their intentions are and they don't know what my intentions are. You know what I mean? But like, it's a scary feeling. But like I tell everybody, hey, we were talking about this at work that, you know, why do you have to escalate the matter if the police officer pulls you over for a routine pullover, routine stop? Why do you have to escalate it? You know, if you know that you didn't do anything wrong, and you know, shut the car off, pull over the side, shut the car off, put your hands where they can see you, open crack the window up, and just communicate with them. You know, why do all the extras? You know, it's not.
I see that point, but you also can exercise your other rights, right? So you don't have to say nothing. You don't. I mean, DMV actually, if you read the DMV form that you sign, it's a privilege, right? So in order for you to have that license, you have to submit voluntarily to blood test if an officer asks you, or you get your license revoked, suspended.
Right.
It's a refusal to participate in the field sobriety test. You sign that on the DMV. You shall submit, right? And if you don't agree with that, you don't sign the DMV license form, and then you don't have a license, and then that's comes into the whole thing. So people forget that when you sign up for your license, the DMV form says that you shall do certain things when a peace officer pulls you over, and they forget that, and that's not brought up. So that, and while you're using municipal and federal roads, you need to abide the rules. Otherwise, you need to walk. If you don't want to deal with those things, you need to walk. Federal rules, like the speed limits, they're in black and white. It's federal. That's a federal speed limit. You have to abide by it. You're going past that, you're gonna get pulled over.
Come on, man. Tell me the little secret, man, because I've been hearing a lot of things of that speed limit shit. Can you go like 5 miles over and not issue ticket, or?
So let me break it down. So we're gonna go from the top to the bottom with this thing, okay? So the federal limits, I can pull you over and cite you, okay? But now in court, it's 22,350 for speeding, unsafe speed for conditions. So you, as an officer, have to give proof or evidence that 5 miles over was unsafe. Now, if there was traffic, there was pedestrians, construction, yeah. So you have to be on top of your game.
Well, there you have it, guys. There's the little tip if you heard it. If it's unsafe.
Right. So now CHP has CHP uses his vehicle code, the CVC, California Vehicle Code. If you're going, it don't matter what, 15 miles over the speed limit, you are done. There's no way out of it.
Yeah, man.
Now you can, it's 22,349 CVC. That one, they get you with that one, you're done. So 14 miles, 13 miles.
On that note, man, when I started my career with my job, I rented a car, was flying up to Lancaster, or to Victorville. Victorville, off the 15. And let me tell you, man, I was in a fucking four-cylinder car, and there was no way I was going 100 miles an hour. But the police officer, the CHP, pulled me over, said I was going 100 plus miles. When he pulled me over, he asked, the first thing he said was, what did he say? He said, where are you rushing to get me to admit that I was in a rush, you see? And I caught on to that, and I said, no rush. And he said, well, we have you clocked over 100 miles plus. And I said, in this four-cylinder Mirage? He said, yeah. He got on his radio, called the airplane that was, or the helicopter airplane that was flying above. Bullshit. I thought it was bullshit. But
you know what they do, right?
I have no idea. But I tell you this.
They're using a stopwatch.
Oh,
they're using it
from point A to point B. They time me as he's flying?
Right.
And they can determine how fast I'm going.
Approximate. So you can fight that and beat it. Because there's no way.
I mean, I was scared to fight that in court. I mean, it was a $500 ticket because of my license. I have a Class B license. So it was a $500 ticket I paid double. So I was going to fight it. And then it just so happened that my cousin was a barber, and he had a shop out there. And his clerk, the judge's clerk, was a customer of my cousin's. So he was there. I just went to the shop and I was telling him, hey, I'm on my way to the court. And the clerk was there, and he says, hey, who's the judge? And I told him, and he says, don't fight it, man, because that guy is tough. He's going to nail you. And if you lose your case in trial, you lose your license. And I didn't know that, So, lesson learned, But that's funny you said that, because he said I was going over 100 plus miles on a freaking Mirage.
That airplane visual estimation, to how far was he up, couple thousand feet, get out of here. You can. I mean, if you have good, you have to have a lawyer, because he's got a format, and he'll win it every time. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So,
weird,
anyways,
man.
yeah.
So, man,
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff. So, you know, it all depends on the officer, you know, of how they're feeling, I guess. If they want to issue a ticket for fucking, you know, going over the speed limit for 5 miles an hour, they're going to do it.
So let me tell you this. So, okay, so there isn't a written quota, but you're expected to do your job. And so let's say between the three of us, we're writing 10 citations for various things our work week, which is either 3 or 4 days, right? So if you start going below that, then it'll be like, hey, what are you doing? You know, if you're giving breaks, right? Because I tend to do that a lot, right? When I was working, and so then they can use that against you, and then you're kind of like forced, because then they'll write a review saying you're below average with your peers, right? And so that you can get into trouble, you can get disciplined, right? So, you know, so sometimes depending on what your supervisor, you know, your sergeant or your captain or your lieutenant, you know, if they got it in for you, man, it's, you know, what are you supposed to do, man? You know, so that's the part that people don't know about either. That people don't talk about. You know, sometimes you're forced to bring up your numbers. There is no quota, obviously. So I got into an investigation for that. You know, some sergeant was interim chief, and you know, hey, you know, your citations are below par and this and that. I go, so what's your quota? And so I threw him with the quota, right? And he's like, well, you know, as well as I do, there is no quota. Then what are you asking me? You're asking me to write more tickets, or what? You know? So I ended up getting into an IA, and at the result that it was not sustained. Sustained meaning that it was true. Not sustained meaning that, you know, they couldn't prove it, so they dismissed that part. So anyways, but at the end of the day, behind the doors, the captains, you know, in some areas do get a bonus. When I was working back in 2003, 2006, I heard through the grapevine, you know, that they do get a cut, you know, so something like that. I can't verify that, but so
I got Luna over here saying, and I don't think Luna knows the police force where you came out of, but Luna says that the officers don't do that in Compton or Watts, and police know where all the guns, drugs, and all the bad persons are. But harass everybody else that they can get a little ticket from. So basically he's saying, I guess they harass people to get tickets from anyways. And that's in the city of Compton or Watts. And so funny, Pablo, is that Mr. Manny here did work on the LAPD force. You want to elaborate?
So there are some types of characters of cops that just want to get into the mix, right? They want to go stir up some shit, you know. So they'll go. We all know where everything's at. It's not easy. The first couple of weeks you're there, you know where.
Like all those prostitutes that are on Figueroa. Yeah, we know that.
Yeah. Figueroa and 105.
You know what I mean? Down on Figueroa. Yeah, you know that.
So, you know where everything's at. You know, you hit all the gas stations. You got to get gas, even if it's $5, right? So you run all those plates there. You pick something up, and then you know, all the gas stations, all the hot spots. You know, it's you know where to get everything. You know, so it's just a matter of how you approach it, right? So people just want to get into stuff. You know, they got into, you know, I just want to, you know, be a cop to arrest people and chase people and stuff, and yeah, you will get that, but and then that's 20-year-old thinking, right? So once you start getting slapped by the supervision, you're going to slow down, you know. And so, you know, it happens, you know. You know, you see all the cars have expired registration going down Imperial, all the way up and down off across the 105 to Santa Fe to all the way to shit, even past into Inglewood. You know, everybody's got expired registration. So you're hunting to see if you can get a gun. You're hunting to see if you can get dope. You're hunting to see what you can get. You know, so if you don't do it, something will happen.
I got a comment here. They're asking, is there a quota that a cop has kept?
What do you mean, like a personal quota?
I don't know. It says here, ask the cop, is there a quota that a cop has kept? So I guess
no. Like, okay, let me see if I can answer his question. So, the motor cops, that's all you do. You have to give tickets. You have to enforce traffic, right? So there's a report. I forget what it's called. And you know, it'll tell you how many crashes are near an area or an intersection because of certain violations, right? So you got to go address those violations. Like if people are rolling through stop signs and there's collisions at what is it? 80 Manchester, like Manchester and Figueroa. If people aren't stopping and making right turns, if people aren't stopping and making right turns, and they're colliding there, well, there needs to be more traffic enforcement there for stop sign violations, right? So that's what happens, you know. So they'll just hang out there and just boom, 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 boom. Okay, here you go. We addressed that issue. But then a week later, the same shit happens over and over again. So, so that's how they target those kind of problems. So there'll be a report how many crashes are in that intersection and for what, you know, what was a primary collision factor? Stop sign, no left turn, right turn, blowing through red lights, or not stopping for pedestrians or whatever. So they'll go address that, and they have to, you know, that's your main objective as a motor officer, is to address traffic concerns.
Oh, so what you're saying is you just text, if they, do they keep, in fact, in other words, do they keep when they try to get their quota, do they keep the money, I guess, or from the ticket?
No, not the officer. No, he's got to turn, there's no payment.
There's no payment, but I mean, do they keep the quota, like, you know, so that money just goes to the court systems, to the government, to the state?
So the majority goes to the state, and the actual city gets very little. Now, the good thing that you brought that up, because I'm going to explain something to you. So municipal code violations, like parking tickets, the city gets 100% of that. So the majority of the citations on a notice to appear will be the majority to California. The city rarely gets 15%, maybe 15% of it. So the majority goes to the state because of the training that they give officers and other state stuff, whatever they do with it. But the majority of the money, if you get a municipal citation, parking citation, or parking on the curb, or, you know, those kind of things, yeah, those go 100% of that money goes to the city.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you park at a fire hydrant, get a ticket, goes to the city.
Yep, all of it.
Nice. I got a guy who's parked in front of my fire hydrant right now. I'm serious. I'm not kidding. He parks there all the time. I'm like tempted to call, man. Shit. Get the hell off my damn fire hydrant.
I still got some LA MC vehicle citation. I'll send you one. So give him a ticket.
Unbelievable, bro. I'm telling you, man.
And his podcast.
You know what I mean? Shit. Unbelievable.
Hey, you guys noticed that I've been so damn quiet over here.
I've been noticing. What are you looking at? You're checking something out, man.
But I'll tell you the reason being is I'm a safe driver, baby.
You're a safe driver, but you got in an accident.
That was not speeding or anything like that.
What was your last ticket?
No, you know, today's been a kind of a funky day, man. I'm just kind of tired a little bit. I think it's the weather, the air. My 49ers look good. I just don't know what it is, but I'm just a little out of whack a little bit. But I can tell you this. One of the things that I did notice, and I read an article interesting the other day that I seen, was like in San Jose, it says and this is what I read, and I kind of took notes on it the other day because I found it very interesting. This is that because even though the police issue more than 2,000 traffic tickets every week in Santa Clara County, the budget cutbacks have prompt laying off people that are court assigned to handle the tickets. And I if I'm correct, and I'll double check, they were saying they're behind on 12,000 tickets in Santa Clara County.
Behind
12,000.
Is that because of COVID? Is that because of COVID?
No, nothing to do with COVID. It's just the tickets are being issued. They say over 2,000 tickets are issued every week in Santa Clara County. And with the budget cutbacks, they had to lay off some officials that took care of the courthouse to process these tickets. Right. It says they're behind 12,000 tickets.
Wow.
Behind. So there's a lot of income right there that the state can be generating from these tickets. And it's interesting how how things like this, and then we worry about budget cuts, and then things like here's what blows me away the most.
Tell me what blows you.
Tell you right now, Flippy. We live in a state. We live in the most populated state in the United States, and everybody pays taxes on fuel, right? On food or whatever it may be, whatever tax it is. Okay? And we're still broke, man.
Yeah, I don't get that.
We're still broke. I don't get that. Bad money management, if it is, get them out. It just blows me away. I mean, I pay taxes on everything, just like Manny, just like you, Flip. Dude, we live in metropolitan cities, and it's going to hell. So that's one of my biggest gripes, is that, the most powerful, honestly, truly, if California is separated from the rest of the United States and the rest of the world, we'd be the most powerful freaking country in the world.
And then we get
with
this,
all the tech that we have, all of the science and technology we have in California, we'd be unstoppable. But and yet we're still broke. And yet, hey, I travel to San Diego all the time to go hang out with the boys over at the Gas Lamp, play golf at Torrey Pines. You drive down over there by under the bridge. What barrio is that? There's a barrio there.
Down over in San Diego?
In San Diego, there's a barrio. It's really famous. God, dogs, someone will remind me. Homeless everywhere. You go into L.A., my son lives in Marina Del Rey. We get out of Marina Del Rey. We're running over just 30 miles down the road. There's homeless everywhere.
Well, look down. I'm going to tell you this right now. Driving through downtown L.A., homeless is just rising, man. It's unbelievable.
Same thing in the Bay Area.
It's unbelievable.
So that I didn't mean to get off the beaten path.
No.
Hey, you know what? These are the things that get at me and gripe me. And the same thing with the conversation we had earlier.
Well, there's guys on chat right now. One of the guys I know personally, he left Cali to go to fucking Vegas because Vegas is a little cheaper. I'm on that same boat. I feel that once his retirement comes, get the hell out of Dodge and go to Vegas. Buy property up in Vegas. It's cheaper. It's cheaper to live out there. Right? LA is too expensive, man.
I'll tell you what, there's no other place in the United States that I'd rather live than right here in the South Bay. The weather is phenomenal year round. Okay? Yeah, we get a little rain. Yeah, we get a little heat. It's always green. It's not.
Let me put it in perspective. If homeless can live in California, we can live in California.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Okay.
That is true.
Yeah.
But you know what, man?
It's getting. I can't afford it.
You got people in the news complaining to their Congress and stuff, and city councilmen. Get these homeless off my goddamn streets. They're literally standing. They're literally with their tents parked in front of your freaking sidewalk.
Right.
I mean, who wants that? That drops a lot of. Don't get me wrong. I'm not putting the homeless down. I'm not. However, it makes a mess of things because your property value goes down in the whole neighborhood, not just your property, but the whole neighborhood.
Right.
Then you got probably drugs involved, alcohol involved. You got all kinds of activity going in and out of that. You know what I'm saying? You don't want that shit in front of your house. You know what I'm saying? You don't want that.
Or in your neighborhood.
Or in the
even
neighborhood.
downtown. I mean,
but I tell you this.
I remember it was never like this. Never like this.
I grew up in San Gabriel Valley. Right? And then I moved to LA. LA just seems like its own universe. Like they're so scared. They're like they're scared to make their movement on certain things. Like, okay, for example, Hollywood. You park in the streets of Hollywood, you have to have a freaking parking ticket on your or parking permit on your fucking car. You go to LA, that shit doesn't exist. Maybe in some place, but where I live, you know, I live in East LA. I mean, I got freaking cars coming up and down. You know, it's like they park their car here and they leave it overnight. Forget about overnight. They leave it over for a week, and it's there until the cleaner comes. You know, it's like what? And when I lived in San Gabriel Valley, that never happened. I lived in El Monte, that never happened. There was plenty of nice parking. The neighborhood was nice. Yeah, you got your bad parts of in every city in every neighborhood, but LA seems to have, I don't know, this scared thing that everybody sues everybody. We know that, but stop being a pussy. Let's go do something about this. Congress people, city councilmen, do something about this shit. We pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, homeless. Let's try to find a solution for the homeless. They're building a lot of shelters now, new shelters, homes for the homeless people to go sleep in.
They're doing the same in the area.
It's just about if and when they want to do it.
Right.
I mean, you can't help anybody if they don't want to be helped.
Right. I think a lot of it is a mental disorder also.
That too.
I think a lot of it has to, they don't want to have to take medication. They don't want to have to do these things. Drives me totally bonkers.
They take medication. They take medication.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's their medication. You know what I mean? That's their medication. You know?
Yeah. And they don't. What blows me away the most is these guys just pick up trash and they stack it up. Garbage. I go by my Home Depot. I'm a general contractor. I'll drive to Home Depot, and Home Depot always had security. It was always clean. Now I drive in. They got a village. They got a little village over there now. And these dudes got bikes, old bikes hanging on fences. They got fucking pallets stacked up. Excuse my language. They got shit everywhere. And you drive in, you're going, how did this happen?
Say what?
How did this happen? You know?
Well,
and it's like
one of the reasons happen is people just wanting to sue the police department or sue the city. You know, where are you going to put these guys? You know, you're encroaching on their Fourth Amendment, taking their stuff, and it's trash, right? But and so then now you're like, okay, leave them alone, because we're gonna continue to pay out and give these homeless money, because there's these attorneys are taking that opportunity and suing the city because the police officers or the city or the whatever came in and cleaned up, and it was their property. You took their property from them, and so now that's what's happening. Just like the meth now is a misdemeanor. A normal quantity for personal use is a misdemeanor now. It used to be a felony. So you're like, do I really want to arrest? It's useless, right? Yeah. All they're gonna do, go into a quick rehab and then come back out and do the same thing over again. And what are you supposed to do, right?
It's definitely something that needs to be addressed. I don't know how many times I always tell myself, Dave, you need to start a company to do nothing but city cleanup, citywide, and develop a company that comes through and just cleans everything.
But the problem is that when you clean up, it's somebody's trash. Now you can get sued for that, and that's why all this is happening now. They're not doing anything about it. They got to go through this whole drawn out. I'm sure some of them have restraining orders not to come back or doing all kinds of stuff. And
what they need to do, Manny, I think what they need to do, and this is just the idea, they need to start calling certain areas eminence of domain, where the city has access, like power lines. You can't have anything in between these.
Yeah.
It has to stay clean.
I'll tell you what they need to do. What they need to do in Los Angeles is the mayor of Los Angeles needs to sit down with, like, say, the Boondocks, Lancaster, or open lots, like very big open lots in the boonies, and say, hey, We'll find some funding for them. Send them over there. Send them over there.
Right.
That's it.
You want to send them over to Epstein's Island?
I don't give a damn where they send them, dude. Just, I mean, first of all, you got to think about the millions of dollars that they're going to put in. They have to put in mental health for them, mental health programs for them, rehab programs for them. They got to do all these programs for these people and provide also food. You know, you got to provide food. You can't, you know, humanity, you know what I mean? So you got to provide all these millions of dollars gashed out. But hey, let's clean up LA, throw them in the fucking boonies, put them out there. You know what I'm saying?
What they were doing? You know what they were doing a while back? A lot of these guys, when they shut down a lot of these psychiatric places, they were buying people one-way tickets.
To where?
To wherever they were from. Yeah. Where were you from, Flip? Where were you born at?
New York.
So I was born in Utah. Here's your one-way ticket. Get out of here. And they would ship them to Utah.
Yeah, I guess it would be cheaper for that way anyways. Yeah,
they were doing it to Hawaii. My sister lives in Hawaii, and she said they stopped that because people, it's easy to live in Hawaii, right? It's always warm.
Right.
They live on the beach. And they were shipping guys one-ways into Hawaii. People that were just getting out of prison. Well, when you get out of prison, from what my understanding, I've never been in prison or jail, but from my understanding is you get a one-way ticket to wherever you're from. And then when you get there, you have to check in with a PO and get situated, right? So wherever you're going, you know, but I'll tell you, I live here in San Jose, the most expensive place in the nation. San Francisco second. But in San Jose, I could drive down McKee Road and I could see a guy laying buck naked on heroin on the ground at a bus stop, just rolling around on the grass and on the ground.
Well, welcome to LA every day.
3 more blocks, and I can see 4 or 5 guys with their pants hanging up to their ankles, and they're just walking around aimlessly. And that's no joke. I seen it yesterday. Me and my daughter seen it when we were driving through that area. And the house and the neighborhoods, the houses are $800,000, $900,000 to $1 million. They're not hodgepodge, but they're everywhere. They're infesting everything. I don't want to seem like I'm heartless and I don't understand, because I know there's going to be people out there, Flip, that are going to tell us, oh, you guys don't understand. I have my brothers out, and I do have a brother out in the streets, but they're going to tell me that I don't understand. I'm just being ruthless and thoughtless, and you know, they do have a life. And for those people that come and tell me that, I'd say, well, then take your family member with you then and let them live with you. You know,
it's more cheaper. It's cheaper to just buy a ticket and hey, get the hell out of the city. That's all. You know what I mean? It's cheaper that way. I don't have to worry about anything else, mental health, the programs, anything like that. That's money saved. There you go.
Yeah.
Eric,
there you go. Now I can't shut up because I'm excited.
Hey man, you go walk down LA right here, down Broadway, down Spring Street. I'm telling you, you go to each and every tent and tell them, hey, I'll pay your ticket one way. Get the hell out of the city. Yeah. They'll probably take it. Hey, it's money.
Well, they'll take it. They'll be back next week.
Right? That's just crazy. That's just fucking
the problem.
Insane, man. I'm reading this ad.
Needs to address it.
Well, I'm reading this ad right now in Los Angeles Times. It says that I think it started June 2021 or something like that. They were pushing out, LAPD officers were pushing out the tents that are over there in actual downtown LA, flashing their lights, 2 a.m. in the morning, get the hell out of the streets. Get the hell out of here. We don't want you, you know. But I thought that they put something in there in the news. I heard something that they signed I guess a law. I don't want to say a law. I don't know what they call it.
Executive order?
Yeah, something like it came from the mayor, you know, and they send it off. Let's just try to push them out. You know, they can't stay here, you know. But that's weird because I think it's Gardena, that on one side of the bridge, it's clear. They'll get a ticket if they're right there. Gardena will give them a ticket. Or is it Carson? Yeah. One of those. It's a city right next door. You cross the other side of the bridge, you're in LA. All there is just lined up. Homeless.
Yeah.
It's Gardena. Well,
they're setting a good example. Come to my city, we'll write your ticket, you can go to jail. You're gonna lose your shit. We're gonna throw it away too. We're gonna confiscate it, and if we deem to see no value in it, we're just gonna dump it. You know, and here's another funny story. It
don't work like that, David. It don't work like that. You have to keep it. They're statues.
Well, you got to stack it in the corner somewhere. So here's another one that really was interesting. There is still a place in San Jose by Happy Hollow, and they named it the Jungle, and they had to do a major sweep through there because one of our waterways, Coyote Creek, ran through it, and the water district was finding that the water was contaminated.
What?
And it was contaminating our drinking water.
Wow.
And what the contaminants were feces. They even found dead bodies. They found syringes. They found all kinds of stuff. And it was a creek area where hard to see and nobody knew, but it was literally a community of homeless that were just destroying the environment there. So they swept it. They had to sweep everybody out of there. And that's what pushed everybody to the streets. I don't know exactly. I'm going to see if I can pull it up how many people were in that sweep. But I'll tell you what, it really, really made a huge difference on pushing them from there out into the streets of San Jose.
I'm just looking this up right now. It says that councilman Joe Busanio, I could be pronouncing that wrong, but he's from the LA District 15. He put a kind of a
injunction
in conjunction, for encampments, for homeless encampments, set place. You can go to the website, and then there's like a report that you fill out, submit a request for them to actually clean up the encampments that are maybe parked in your neighborhood or whatever. Yeah, so you have to follow protocols to get them off your property.
If you can create that scenario where there's hazardous waste and contamination, and you can write up a warrant and send it to the judge, and if he approves it, then you can sweep all that. Aside from that, you just can't start doing it because like another friend said and told me, you are violating civil rights. When you take people's property and throw it away, can't do that.
Well, does that tents? Yeah, you consider that as property, right? Personal property. Yeah, I could see that, but. Mm-hmm. And it says, I'm reading this, it says, for encampments on public right-of-way, which is considered, example, sidewalks, streets, median, parks, etc., submit a request here. Please note that once you have requested, you must be, okay, so stuff like that, if it's, I guess, you can get it removed. You can get the homeless removed, but you have to take the steps and protocols and procedures to get them out. That's interesting.
Yep.
So I was able to pull it up, and this is interesting now because I was telling you guys about the jungle. At the time, it says here the jungle is the largest of many Silicon Valley homeless encampments. It was 65 acres, and it bordered the Coyote Creek in San Jose and housed up to 175 people at a time. They said it is the largest homeless encampment in the continental United States.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Wow.
I didn't know that. And it says from kids, this is what the mixture of the people were. From kids to convicts to moms and dads and mentally ill. The jungle is a desperate mix of people out of whatever options they might have been or had at once. So pretty interesting. I never knew it was the largest in the continental United States. Wow. And they got makeshift homes. They've got it's just crazy if you pull that article and look at everything that they had in there. It was just crazy. And that's what I'm saying. I remember it hitting the news. I didn't know it was that large. But and you feel bad, man, because you know what? In Silicon, let me give you a good example right here. To rent an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment with 2 baths, you're gonna pay $3,000.
Damn, expensive.
I don't care. You want to rent a house? You want to rent a 3-bedroom house in the Bay Area? You're gonna pay $4,500 a month.
Yep.
How can somebody that makes $25 an hour, forget it, $50 an hour? How can somebody survive at that kind of rent? And that's what we're dealing with.
Well, you do this. You do like the old school, man. You have all the Hispanic families moving into one home.
That's what's going on, and that's it. And that's it in a nutshell. You know, that is totally it in a nutshell because of the fact of it's just out of hand. You know, we could talk about this all day long, and I love this conversation. Don't get me wrong; I love the police excessive force also.
Right.
But it's just one of those things that, you know, it needs to be addressed. You know, and who do we go to? How do we do it? What do we need to do? I mean, I'd love to have somebody come on the show and say, hey, here's, give me some ideas. And if we like the ideas, let's get them on the show. You know, whatever it may be, because it's out of control. It's out of control.
So man, comment here says, so you're saying anybody can build a home anywhere in that area? And then it says makeshift homes. So I guess they could shift. What are those, mobile homes? I guess, or motor homes.
Oh, they could do a makeshift home.
Yeah, makeshift home.
They're doing it everywhere, right? They're doing it on the side of the freeways. These guys are everywhere. They'll make a makeshift home out of pallets, plywood, you name it. They're tarps. I've even seen them go as far as going down to Target after they panhandle, probably, and buy tents.
So these makeshift homes, they're like like small pre-built storage facilities that kind of put like restrooms in or whatever.
Oakland has that.
Yeah.
They have those 10 by 10 sheds underneath in parking structures underneath I think it's the BART rail. And I, you know, every time I would pass by, I would see them. You know, they would have, but there was a few. There were those that I think that's a program or something.
It is a program. It is a program.
Yeah, because I've seen some down here.
They have it underneath 101 and the 280 interchange. They got about 70 of them with air conditioning units, and they're little. They're not 10 by 10s though. They're probably a 7 by 10, just enough to eat and sleep, and maybe go to the bathroom. But still, there's a ton of those I see over there now. And then I also saw them off of, where did I see them at? I know they're off of 101 and 280. And then I've seen some, I think, off of 85 and Elma. They've got some stacked out over by Art's office.
Got it.
Right there. And they're portable. They're like little portables.
Right.
That are lined up.
Well, I got somewhere down the street here by me where they have these portable showers, like mobile home size.
Right.
And it specifically has showers inside them and water fountains and stuff like that. So what they do, because we noticed them the other day when we walked the dog, they put them on the truck, you know, big rig, and they take them around the city so that the homeless could, shave and shower. You know what I mean? So
I think that's a good thing, man.
I think it's a good thing too. I really do. It keeps them nice and clean, at least, hygienic.
Well,
yeah. But I'm telling you, I'm a driver, bro. For 22 years, I'll tell you something right now, man. It doesn't get any worse than you being on a bus with smelly ass motherfucking. I'm sorry. It's just, woo!
Tell me what you feel, baby. Tell me how you feel.
Oh my God. Let me tell you, man.
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad. So, hey, they could provide service like that. That's awesome. But again, if they don't want to be helped, you can't help them. All right?
Nope.
They want to stay on the street. They want to put the needle in their arm. They want to smoke the crack pipe. Hey, man, was it today? Yeah, it was today. The guy boards my bus, man. Homeless guy. Okay. Crack pipe in his hand. Just got a rag, his dirty blanket with him. No mask. No mask. All right? No mask. By law, and it's in transit now, there's a law signed. Everyone that boards public transportation, whatever city bus you're on or whatever, you must wear a mask, regardless if you're vaccinated or not.
No mask,
Get that shit out there, guys. Get that shit out there, because you need to wear a mask on public transportation. Train, bus, rail, doesn't matter. Just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean shit. It's a law. It's set there. It's an actual law set there. So don't give me this crap like you have in the restaurants where you don't want to wear your freaking mask. I don't care. Don't wear your mask at a restaurant. I'm not going to sit next to your ass anyways. But I'll tell you this. If I'm driving that bus, you are going to wear a mask. You are going to wear a mask because, hey, Flip don't play that, brother. I will not open the door. I'm sorry. I will not open the door until you put a mask on. But now we got these little boxes that provide masks. We're supposed, the company, the transit, provides masks for the public. But if I'm out of mask on the bus and I notice it, hey, if you don't have your own to provide, I can't let you in. I'm sorry. It is my safety and the safety of everybody else on this bus. Okay? That comes first. Prior than what the policies call for. I'm sorry, but my life and the life of everybody else here comes first. So I'll deal with it. I'll deal with the consequences later, but I'm going to tell you right now, that's the way it should be. And spread the news, guys, because they got to wear masks. They have to wear masks. And if they don't wear a mask, be polite about it. Hey, touch your mask. Hey, you need to wear a mask. You can't get on, man. It's just not safe. You know what I mean? But you got these idiots, crackheads. You got, stupid people that want to jump on public transportation without a mask because they feel that they're vaccinated. Well, you got all these scams going on. You got those. You see the news that somewhere back east, I think it was Florida. They provided fake vaccine cards, false fake vaccine cards. Yeah, counterfeit vaccine cards. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That.
Oh, yeah.
So, I personally, I'm vaccinated. I have the digital printout where you do that QR code. Hey, it's right here. You want a QR it, but that's it right there. You know what I mean? I'm not hiding anything, but I don't know. To be honest with you, Brown, I don't know if it's Republican or Democratic bullshit. People believing that I don't need to wear. I don't like what the government's doing. I don't like what the government's saying. I have to wear a mask. I have to wear a mask. Fuck the government. Fuck the, what I'm saying? F this, F that with the government. But, it doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. It's the humanity of it. Right. You gotta be wearing a mask. Hey. I saw an ad. My wife was telling me in the news, there was a white lady on the news. Her kid wanted to be sent to school, but he had some health issues, and so he can't wear a mask. He has a doctor's slip to not wearing a mask. Okay, she made a big old deal about it, big old hassle, and I'm looking at it, I'm saying, there's home studies. You can do home studies. He doesn't have to go to the school if he doesn't want to wear a mask. Because of his health conditions, I understand that. But he could stay home and be taught at home.
Hey, Flip, I'm going to cut you off right there. I'll tell you why. Because that is going to be our next topic. I want to get into that. I'm going to dig in that. I want to dig into about this COVID. I want to dig into about the mask. And I also want to dig in about Afghanistan, what's going down over there. We had a good discussion, me and Manny and some of the boys. I want to talk about what's really going on in there. I want to talk about this COVID. I'm vaccinated. I'm all for it.
Right.
I think we need to dig into this thing. I'm hearing stuff from Fauci saying the masks are useless. The molecules that they carry, the virus, are so small. There's no mask that's going to help.
Well,
so I'm getting mixed emotions. So and that's why I'm saying, let's stop. Let's save that conversation.
We got it. Well, you got it. We'll talk about that in our next podcast show. We've got that. We got a new. Hey, you guys at home, watching this later, feel free to drop a comment in the comments, guys in the chat. I appreciate you guys jumping in the chat with us. If you guys any suggestions of what you guys would like to hear, pop that in the comment. Let us know. But we're gonna call it for a day right now. That's pretty good. We had some good interesting
myself. I'm gonna try to get him on the show.
Yeah, get him on the show.
Dr. Fauci on this thing. I want to get somebody.
No, get him on the show because hey, that Taliban thing. Excuse me, that's
you got
one thing.
Right now. I saw you coughing right now, man. Easy.
But
aren't you vaccinated?
What?
Your tunes.
All right, guys, we're gonna call it quits right now. Thanks for tuning in. I definitely appreciate it. Join us on our next podcast show. We'll be on live Tuesday. Tune into that. If you guys have any topics that you want to talk about, please drop that. And I want to thank Manny for coming out. Brown, as always. You guys, see you in the next. I appreciate it. Thanks. If you haven't subscribed,
Go Niners.
Like, go Niners, the sky here. All right, guys, peace out. Take care, you guys. Catch you in the next one.
Later. Good. I didn't mean to cut you off, Flip. But I know we were running on time, and if we want to keep that show, I thought we were getting into some good topics. Okay. And I'm not the director. I'm just trying to help out. But I want to get into that topic. I want to get into the